Welcome back to the Dog Ranch TV podcast.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. I'm Courtney and this is Bart.
I'm Bart.
And we are the owners of Dog Boys Dog Ranch. And we have been loving dogs for 25 plus years, actually our whole lives, but professionally for 25 years now. And we have a super special guest today, Frances Jonon from the Austin Humane Society. She is the president and CEO, and we have known her since she was just an early bird there.
Yeah, like I was trying to think back. Like, were you a tech there? Like when
I started part-time in the kennels.
Okay, yeah, like I was working with Diana, like teaching classes, and I remember you and Mike Castro and like
Mike Reyes.
That's what I meant.
Mike Reyes. You were I thought you were like helping answer the phones and like working at the front desk some too, weren't you?
I mean, you ended up doing everything back then was the deal. It felt like there was like 11 of us, and now there's 45. So it's a new world.
Yeah, I feel like we literally just grew up together with these similar, you in nonprofit and us in for-profit, but we've been in Austin and, for us, Pflugerville for forever, it seems like.
Yes. Similar paths, different places, but we've probably both unclogged some drains.
For sure.
And we've both been doing good things for dogs for so many years. That's what makes me so happy. So I'm really proud of the work that you guys have done and just everything that you've done with the Humane Society since you came on as the executive director.
Yeah, I love telling people that I like the Humane Society will pop up and I'm like, well, I know the director over there. So
just saying, I know her. We have some history. So tell us a little bit about your journey, like just from kind of getting in as an entry-level person and working your way up. Like, how did all that happen?
Sure. I think it's probably an unconventional journey in a nonprofit. So everyone tells me when I tell the story, they're like, what? I was working in a people hospital and thinking I wanted to go to medical school. I wanted to be in the healthcare profession. And my very best friend, Tammy, was working at the Austin Humane Society.
Tammy.
And she was working in the clinic. And, we would, as you do, share work stories and work grief and all of that. And her stories were just way better than mine. And I started to recognize that my very young dreams of the healthcare profession were maybe not leading me to a place on my career path that was just warm and fuzzy. Mm-hmm. But Tammy had all this warm fuzzy, like that's all she had.
How old were you?
I said, you know what? Oh my gosh. We're going to say I was 7 years old because I've been with the Humane Society for a lot of years. So we don't put years on it anymore.
Okay. No, I was just wondering.
About that. I was a wee pup. And
so you're 7.
I was around 7, right? So her stories were so much better. And so I just told her, I was like, you know what? If there's anything that comes up, let me know. And so she let me know that there was a position. Mm-hmm. It was part-time. But I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Let's see where it goes. It was in animal care, cleaning the kennels.
Fun.
And so that's where I started. And I'll tell you, it has been such a good thing that I started right where I started, because you really learn what's going on and what's involved in their care and what their experience is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it taught me so much about animals and just being able to read them, because you're with them every day, you're getting their breakfast, you're cleaning up, you're their contact. And so it really helped me hone those skills that I think have been pretty invaluable on the leadership side.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's been good. I held a variety of roles I didn't go straight part-time from the kennels to the executive director role. I was in the clinic. I had vet tech experience, so bounced into the clinic, was the foster care coordinator, was the assistant shelter manager, the shelter manager, operations director. And then when the previous director resigned, I had been there so long that the board said, will you just step in and be interim?
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people I was just green enough not to know any better. So I said yes. And I had not been on this road where I was aspiring to be a leader. I didn't imagine that for myself. And you guys have known me for such a long time. Yeah. I am more of the quiet type. Like, you wouldn't expect me, in that traditional, view of what a CEO looks like. But there are all types of CEOs. Yeah. Come to find.
There are.
And it's been a great fit.
Do you think having all those different jobs helps you as a CEO to communicate better with those people, or like understand what problems that they're having or might have?
It's been a great benefit. I think along the way, I've learned so much about communicating with staff of varying roles, especially when folks don't really understand or know what development roles are, or marketing roles, or sometimes my role. They may come to the Austin Humane Society and not know that we have a board of directors.
Right.
So it's been a process, and I will say I have still not perfected it, but there's always room for growth, right?
Right. There's no perfection.
There's no perfection. You just keep striving for what you can.
Progress, baby steps.
Do you think that people, when they come in there, were like, when you started, where you were like, I want the feel good, the warm fuzzies, and that they think that's all it is just, it's just playing with dogs all day?
Oh, sure. They're definitely, like, I think about my perspective from animal care and my perspective now. And that's hugely valuable because I know how they're feeling and what they're thinking in terms of what the role is and what it means and the realities versus kind of this glorified pet puppies all day. Yeah. And so it's very valuable. And I also know that they don't know what I do because I didn't know what our CEO did. And sometimes I was like, why is she always going to lunch?
It must be nice.
It's strategic.
Must be nice. Yeah.
Right.
Must be nice.
It's called networking, people.
Yeah.
I know. It's important. Those lunches mean a lot.
Yes, they do.
But that's been really valuable to be able to I have to remind myself sometimes. I'm like, okay, everyone has a different perspective. Sometimes I have to slow down because my mind is like 300 miles an hour, go, 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 go. And remind myself, stop, 35 miles an hour. What's going on with everybody?
And you're doing it with a little girl too.
Yeah.
That's got to be a little extra.
That has also been a very learning experience for sure.
She's so cute. I just love her little pictures. Oh my gosh, she's adorable.
We're pretty smitten with our little Julia. Yeah. We're keeping her.
They're perfect.
I think that's the last time I saw you was at the gala maybe 5 years ago, and you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And you were like, I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, was that when I had my accident bidding?
Oh no, that was the gala before that where you accidentally had your paddle raised for $3,000. Yeah. He was trying to drum up, excitement, and we won the item.
Do you remember that?
I remember that.
It was a lot of fun.
Who is that? Wait.
They weren't supposed to, like, in the history of the thing, it always went, whatever it was like, it's a $3,000 value. And it always went way over that. And I was like, this is a big ticket item. And there only 2 people have bid. I was like, I'll do it.
It was VIP access at CODA in the Roger Beasley suite all day,
with a personal,
open bar.
Personal chef and personal bartender and
an actual race. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I was just like, you won, and he was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I just remember the whole table was looking at me like.
All of our employees were like, you have $3,000 to just give away?
I do now.
I do today. That's right.
I did it for the dogs.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was a good day. But that was the year before, I think, or a couple years before we saw you with the, with the bun in the oven.
Yes.
So in the last couple of years, like, after all this time, like what's different between the way adoptions happened back then and the way things happen now, or even like how has COVID changed everything? I guess that's two questions.
Yeah,
that's definitely two questions. So many changes. I mean, definitely the industry has changed. And I know that you being so close to animal welfare know this, but it's the way that we talk to people and help people with their animals is very different from what we were doing 20 plus years ago. We try not to be punitive because guess what? Maybe that doesn't work so well.
No, nobody likes shame.
Yeah, nobody likes shame. So we've really evolved with all of our partnerships and at the shelter to a very open philosophy where we're helping people. There was always a stigma on adoption returns, I remember.
Yeah.
More shame. And we always pay attention to that and acknowledge that there's no shame. We want you to try. Trying is good. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's help you try again.
Yeah. You tried.
You tried. Yeah, you did the right thing. Certainly no kill has happened. That's huge. And everything leading up to that has been really huge. We're really happy in Austin.
I was just going to add, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to add, no kill, when that first happened or when that first started, that movement in Austin, I really didn't know how I felt about it, and I'm still very much for it. But at the time, I was just like processing, what does that mean? And over the years that it has been a reality for Austin, for a while, and I wouldn't say as much anymore, but for a while, there were so many dogs that used to not be adoptable that would get euthanized that were now being adopted out, that we were seeing a lot more dogs with challenges, with behavioral challenges, dogs that were, shy or super anxious or, have some reactivity that people deemed aggressive and things like that. So it was a lot more challenging from a business owner's perspective to take those dogs in. Eventually we got to the point where we had so many difficult dogs coming, we really had to sort of limit the number of new clients that we could take in.
Right.
But now we're seeing more dogs that are just shy and anxious than we are reactive. I mean, we're still getting some, but there was kind of like a wave of it for a long time. And I really felt like no kill was a part of that, even though I still supported no kill, and I still do. It did change sort of the landscape of pet ownership. Absolutely.
It's, I talk about no kill a lot in my role, as you can imagine. And I think one of the things that's really important, and this speaks to your experience, is that most people really understand about a centimeter deep when it comes to no kill. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's so many variables. It's this one term that claims this one thing,
but it's not.
It's different everywhere you go, and sometimes it's not good. In theory, not killing animals, not eliminating euthanasia from your community is great.
Right.
Who doesn't want that? That's where we should all try to go.
But then reality steps in.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets, it can go wrong. We've seen it in the industry across the country, where in the name of no kill, animals will be hoarded and not taken care of properly. That's probably one of the most common side effects that would happen from an organization or a group trying to go no kill but not having resources. Animals are being put in the community without an in-depth knowledge of what's going on with that animal. So behavior-wise, medical-wise, and then you end up with pet parents who have to figure it out, and it's a really challenging, tough situation.
Right.
And when it comes to animal welfare and animal care and animal behavior, animal medicine, there are experts that have studied this and know the realities of behavior for animals, know the realities of medicine, doctors, whatnot. And so when you have someone, you could look at their guidance, which is very smart and a very smart way to go, and it can help you evaluate how to help that animal. Or if you can't change a behavior and you're left with only the opportunity to manage the animal, or in some cases, if it's terribly aggressive and unsafe, to make a euthanasia decision. So behavior, for us even, it's very much the same thing as medicine. We look at it the same way. What is the evaluation? What's the prognosis? What can be done? What should be done?
Right.
What's safe? What's good for the animal?
Right.
And the community. And so we've seen that across the country too, where aggressive animals are put out because no kill means no kill anything. It doesn't matter. So aggressive animals going out, or what's probably one of the most heartbreaking things is that animals that are suffering, instead of being euthanized peacefully, are left to die in their kennels in the name of no kill. So, and these are the most extremes.
Right.
Right.
The things people don't hear about.
Right.
Yeah. If you think about it, you start to recognize, wow, that would be bad. That's not all bad. And I think the answer for people is find out what's going on. What's the reality in your community?
Is that what you're trying to do, or is that what you're doing with your reach out program to the families and kids?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, the kid piece. There are a lot of us on the team that have families. We have kiddos. They're a part of our life. The Humane Society is a part of our life. So it was very natural for us to start a program for young people. For me, where my heart goes to with the kiddos is that just knowing the magic animals have in terms of how they reach people, and harnessing that to help kiddos.
All people.
All people, exactly. Kids and people who have not been, have not learned empathy because they've never been shown anything kind. Yet the studies show animals can break through, and animals can open that and actually teach someone that.
I love dogs.
Let's
cats.
hear it for pets.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And so with our kiddo program, we aspire certainly to be involved with organizations who, their expertise is kiddos that need help, and that's their expertise. Ours would be animals. Right now, what we're really doing with kiddos is just inspiring compassion and teaching them about animals and animal care, and giving them a little bit of fun, and also including the family. So when that program happens, it's very family oriented. So we don't have a camp where you drop your kiddos off. No, just you come be a part of it.
I feel like that's what we've always needed. Like, when I was coming up in this, I saw a lot of dogs that were in shelters or dogs on the side of the road or whatever. And I'm like, we're trying to do what we can, getting dogs that are in shelters rehomed, but why is nobody doing anything about like the stopping of the breeding that's not supposed to happen?
Or the dumping, yeah.
Well, and I know that they're dogs are being spayed and neutered, but like there's like a grassroots thing that there's like education that needs to be done to people that to tell men that it's okay to neuter your dog. You're not taking his manhood away, or
that's a touchy subject for a lot of guys. I wish it wasn't.
Own a cat too, if you're a guy.
Really?
You can be a cat guy.
Yeah, it just. Wow. I just think it's really great that you're doing something where the kids are getting to experience that at an early age. My first memories of play and fun were with my dog when I was like 2.5 years old, and I have all these little snapshot videos in my head of things that I used to do with my dogs, and just watching my kids grow up around dogs. I mean, they have like this bond and relationship with their dogs, and it's really cool. Like, I really love what dogs give, and I love that you're kind of teaching those kids that there is a wonderful thing to have compassion for something that can't help itself.
So true.
It is amazing.
What's the
Whenever
name
we
of
get
your
past COVID.
summer?
So we call it our Summer Kids series.
Okay.
And the kiddos it's part of the Humane Heroes program. So the kiddos become Humane Heroes. Now with the pandemic, we've taken a lot of it more online, which is challenging, just like the school systems are experiencing for sure.
Yeah.
But we've even taken, one of my favorites is teddy bear surgery. And so the kiddos will bring in their stuffed whatever. I mean, alligators, airplanes, we've seen it all. And we have them go into a waiting room, and they have a coloring sheet. So they fill out kind of what's wrong. They get their mask and their hair cap, and then they get their doctor's license, on their lapel, and they go into surgery where the nurse will help them get set up, and then they talk to the doctor. And the doctors are sometimes played by other people, but
we don't need to go into that. Disclaimer.
It's fine. But it's so much fun to see the kids experience it, because they're in the moment, you're going to talk to them about care and
what's the age group
they need to do. And
how old are they? Like, what's your age group?
Teddy bear surgery are kiddos that are probably 2, 3 at the youngest, and then we've had some young teens come in too, because they want to talk to the vet techs, and they have like serious problems with their animals. They've thought this out, but it's just fun. We've had some foster kids come through, so it's just been amazing. So, you guys may have to come over and be nurses or doctors.
Oh, I would love to do that.
How long have you been doing it? I'll do it.
Oh my gosh. It's probably at least 5 years or so.
Wow. I actually even have a bunny rabbit that needs some surgery. Maybe I could bring her.
You can be their oldest one.
She's got a droopy head. She's not a teddy bear, but she still needs some attention.
That's right.
You'll start having them coming up to volunteer or wanting to work in the kennels pretty soon.
I mean, really, it's all about instilling that little seed of compassion and interest in animals.
Yeah, growing little animal lovers. We do a career day. On every May or so, when school, pre-COVID, we were invited into multiple elementary schools, and we talked to kids about not only how to greet a dog, how to ask permission, how to be a tree, all those things. But also we talk about what does your dog need? Because a lot of them have dogs, and they may or may not be doing those things that their dogs need, like giving them shelter, or, fresh water, or, just bringing them in when it's cold outside, things like that. Things that you take for granted that you think every dog owner does. There's plenty of kids who are in families that their families just don't know all those things that they should be doing.
We've had a few kiddos say some things, and I'm sure their parents were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. We had one kid say something that was like, I don't know if I should say it on this.
We'll mark the podcast explicit.
Yeah. Well, no, it was just really shocking, and hopefully not true what they said.
But it had to do with deceased animals being saved and something.
Yeah.
So they ended up letting the school counselor know. It wasn't just something that we were just like, oh my God, and let go. Like, we actually told someone so that they could do something about it.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. But I'm glad that we're both working so hard to help children, be bigger animal lovers.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Help kids, help dogs.
Yeah.
We have a wildlife session. We have wildlife rescue come and do cool things. So they talk about baby animals, and the parents love that one, because that's something we all face. Like, you see the baby bird or you see the baby possum, and so that one is hugely popular. But they're all so much fun. It's so much fun to be with those little fresh minds that are just so open.
It's all wonder. They're just like, ooh. Yeah, like when we walk into the schools with a dog, I mean, you can hear there's like
they all just come at you.
Well,
I want to pet the puppy.
You just see it go down the hall. Like, the kids realizing there's a dog here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bart instantly becomes the coolest guy in school.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, your dad's a pilot? So.
I got a dog.
So
we don't ever see the other people in career day.
Well, you can see the guys, like walking through school.
That's
you
true.
see the firemen, and there's some cops, and
we saw a scientist once.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, and the teacher was like, the scientist was horrible. He was so dry. The kids were so anyway.
But bringing a dog always gets attention.
Speaking of science, are you guys doing something with A&M? Like
we've been partnered with A&M for years and years and years. And so we've been a part of some programs and a part of study groups. We recently, up until classes are not live, Dr. Luke and I actually taught a shelter medicine course. So I taught a course at vet school. It was incredible.
Wow.
Wow.
That was a big moment for me. Yeah, it was fun. So Texas A&M partnered with the Humane Society. They've known us for years. They like the way that we do animals. And so they wanted us to be a part of building that curriculum around shelter medicine. And so incredible honor.
I haven't been down there in a while, but I remember you guys always had a really nice hospital, like that area in the back with the windows.
Yes, that has been incredible. So when the shelter was retrofitted in '94, the partnership with A&M was already going strong. And so fourth year students would come in and do their surgery rotation there.
Yeah.
And so it was built very specifically as a teaching facility.
That's so great.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. We they don't bring their fourth year students anymore. As things have evolved, it's just hard for them to go out of town to do that. So we partner in a lot of other different ways. But we are so glad to have that huge surgery suite.
Yeah.
When I started, we didn't have a veterinarian on staff. And now we have 3.
That's crazy. It seems like it would just not even make sense that there wouldn't be one, but I don't know if there's one at the Pflugerville shelter.
Well, on the window.
They always ask me that. They're like, "What? How did you do this without a vet?" And I'm like, "I don't even know. Like, just be glad we have 3."
That's right. That's right.
Well, and I always like the windows. Like you could walk by and you're like, they're cutting on that dog. Like they're doing a surgery right there. Mm-hmm. It's like anybody could watch.
It's good. It's good to be, I think, transparent in that way in any of your operations that people are going to be potentially interested in. It's great during tours. I always tell people you can look away or you can look. If it makes you too nervous, you can look away. But folks like it. They really get to see in action what's happening. Mm-hmm. So the spay and neuter programs are huge. Of course, all the adoption animals getting spayed and neutered is very important.
Yeah.
Well, and you've got quite a large number of volunteers now too.
It's like an army.
Like over 700 volunteers, is that right?
Yes, they are an army. And we'll talk in just a minute about how COVID has changed everything for us. But yeah, our volunteers are huge. We miss them. If any of you are watching, we miss you so much.
Come back soon.
Yeah.
So we have the volunteers are back now, but just in a very limited capacity, just to really limit everyone's exposure and crossover and enable the things to happen safely. But yeah, our volunteers are huge, and we've had to scale back the program a lot because we had to suspend volunteers coming in because they're that critical. I mean, they play a huge part of every day for the animals.
Did you guys experience a clearing of the shelter or like large adoptions when it all started, like some of the other places around the country?
We did. We do a lot of disaster relief work and have done a lot around in the area and also around Central Texas. And so our team is trained on all the FEMA stuff. They're trained on disaster response, and they've trained with really amazing professionals. And I say that because we think disaster minded.
Right. No, you have to.
It trains you to think a specific way. And so when the pandemic started and they started talking about it before it was called a pandemic, we were like, oh man, this is not good. we were worried initially. We were worried because no one knew at the time, and they weren't talking about whether domestic animals, dogs and cats, could transmit to humans. And so that was huge for the industry, and thinking, oh my gosh, what am I even going to do with this? Will people want to surrender pets? Will people need to surrender their pets, or will they need temporary care for their pets because they're so sick?
Right.
So there were so many unknowns. And so what we did is we said, the one thing that we are pretty sure that we might need is space, no matter what. Our staff might get sick, something. So we scaled back the population very intentionally early on. So probably early mid-March, we scaled back, and we did a huge special to get people out, get animals adopted. And that was great because we did a huge weekend, and the adoptions kept coming. It was really effective. And so our population went down to a manageable size. So when it did happen, we were able to continue to push that message, get more animals out into foster, but we were still able to take animals in. So there were still critical cases that were, these animals needed a place to go. We were still able to keep operating. It was challenging, had to figure everything out on the fly.
Wow.
But we have figured it out now.
Yay.
It's
a little planning and forethought. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. So it's changed the business for sure, as you know, and everyone has had to figure this out, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone's had to figure out social distancing and how to be safe. And for those of us that have staff, like you guys have staff, you have to figure out like sick leave policies and, all that stuff.
We
have a couple of employees that, were just, and still are just like, I don't want to quit, but I am not ready to come back. And I'm just like, you just hang tight, you just hold on, and we'll save your spot. Like, I don't want anybody to lose their job because they're scared to come to work. That's just not okay with me.
Yes. Yeah, it is scary time. So, and we had some staff that were, our, more susceptible and whatnot, so a little more fragile probably. And so we started working on, work from home over here, work from home over there, do whatever, changing roles all over the place. Like I said, we suspended the volunteer program. That was really hard because that's a lot of hours of manpower just gone overnight.
Wow.
And so we split the staff into two teams in case one team were to get ill or exposed. We'd still have one team.
Right.
And then off folks that were working in offices and could work remotely or working remotely. So we've gone to curbside.
That's
it's probably one of the things that's just the most interesting and fascinating about all of it for me, all the changes, is that we started just counseling people on the phone. They see animals online, they see pictures. So they talk to our staff on the phone. Our staff may use video or share a little bit more. They make either a commitment or a tentative commitment, a foster to adopt.
Right.
And then they come and pick up. And for the dogs, we put the dogs in the outside run from one side. The adopter comes in the other side, picks dog up, takes dog home. They've never met before. And I'll tell you, like I get chills every time I talk about it, because within a couple days, people will call us and they're like, this dog is mine. I know I'm fostering, but this dog is mine.
A failed foster.
Yes, so many of them. And it's been so fun to watch people make it work. And, and just to know, like, there is that much value in animals in our society. Like, they're so important.
Oh, that's so great. I love that people are having successful new adoptions without ever having met the dog in person first, because so many people, even me, I would assume that would really kind of be a necessary thing, and yet it's not. That's awesome.
Well, and I'd love the what do you call it? The ingenuity of or creativeness of, like, a year ago, if I said, do you think you'd ever just like put dogs in the outside run and let people come pick them up
without ever having met them?
You would be like, no.
No.
But now
we're like, who'd do that?
and now you're like, maybe we should keep doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we definitely, while things are still, you know, unsure, we've not opened back up. We've not let the public come back in. So we're still running operations this way, and because it's working.
Yeah.
Folks are enjoying it and it's working. And we don't fault anyone for a return. So it was easy for us to go to a foster to adopt scenario where you don't finalize it, you know, take the dog or cat home, see how you feel.
Yeah.
It's just been amazing. People are really, it's fun. And we're getting, the communication is another silver lining, I will say. So some of the admin staff, even our COO, who's a veterinarian, has been working from home quite a bit. So we have the staff under the shelter managers really running the show. You know, they've got it. And so every once in a while I do have to go in and I, you know, peek around and all of that. And, you know, everyone may turn around and whatnot, but they have stepped up so much in the communication department. We're using different apps. And so they're constantly uploading photos of their day and the dogs and the animals. And here's a new intake. And it is the most beautiful content we have probably ever produced because it's in the moment. I mean, they're the ones that are right there at the heart and soul of it. So that's been amazing. I'm like, silver lining, we're never not doing that.
We're never not doing that again. Never.
When this was all starting, you know, we were meeting with other people in the industry, and one of the most helpful things I heard was like, this is the time to pivot and learn new things and get rid of things you don't like doing and start doing things you want to do. So it's really been helpful to just sort of pivot and change, and you know, like you said, you have the best content that you've ever had because of some new thing that probably might not have happened.
Yeah, I mean, it hadn't been happening, and now, you know, we of course are constantly asking them, you know, can you go take a picture of Layla? Can you? And there again, it's just the best stuff, and they have the best stories because they've got all the intel. You know, they know who these animals are, so that's been really amazing. And it's also, for me, it's been also amazing because I get to see their personalities, and so the team that I might not work with very directly, I can talk a little bit about them, and so that's been fun too. So my work is maybe not as interesting, so I'm not putting updates on Slack all the time, but
I think that elevates you as a leader too, because like you're, you know, to them, I mean, you're the president and the CEO, and you're talking to them and communicating with them, and you know,
that makes them feel like their job is even more important.
Which makes them want to do a better job.
Yeah, we've got an employee that actually has volunteered with you guys for years, Zach, and he's always insisted that, you know, he has certain days off because those are his volunteer days. He's really
love
sweet.
it.
Yeah,
thank you, Zach.
So
he knows Kathy pretty well.
Yeah, Kathy is the one that brings the dogs to Dog Boys for their daycare. The dogs that, you know, are either stir crazy over there or just that need to be evaluated. And so when you have a driver, and it's usually Kathy that's able, she'll bring them over and they'll spend the day here. And, you know, and she loves seeing Zach, and Zach loves seeing her. And
I love it.
It's a big family.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time. So are you ready for the speed round? No,
speed round.
I'm just kidding.
I was going to get quizzed. Let's do it. Okay.
I think he's referring to Brene Brown's Unlocking Us podcast.
No, I was thinking that'd be funny if because maybe we should have some kind of.
Sure.
Because we're talking to people.
This will be on the fly.
It's going to be all people in the dog industry. So.
But I'm sure you have an unending list of awesome questions.
Let me see.
And it's going to be tested on me.
Like you're the.
I like it.
How many dogs have you had in your lifetime?
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Including when I was little,
like growing up
family dogs.
Wow.
Gosh, you know, I haven't counted, but I probably can. So let's see.
Say, how many have we had that just since we've been married?
7.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
We had 5 at one time. That's too many. 6. Do we have 6 or 5?
We're asking her. It's not your speed round.
I'm giving her time to think.
Okay.
It's speed round for everyone. It's probably been around 8.
8.
Right now, my husband, Julia, and I have one little old girl from a puppy mill rescue, Olivia the pug. She's a little old girl, little snorter.
Cute.
Okay, so this goes to like responsibility of owning a pet. Our son had recently, like 2 years ago, got a dog, and I said, "Hey, they're expensive. So what's the most you've spent on a dog because of an illness or an or
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's a good question. Let me tell you my methodology for dealing with that. Is either my husband or I will pay the bill and just kind of not tell the other one because it's just easier.
So there is no amount
the bank account. Usually, I mean, it definitely has been Olivia. Poor little thing has had just a ton of stuff in her little life. And I think that probably the biggest, like, pay this, walk away, it was probably close to 2,000. But I will tell you, like, she always has repeat visits. So it's like, but then come back for the ultrasound on Tuesday.
Come back in 2 weeks.
And we'll do the cytology on Thursday, whatever.
Yeah.
So don't forget the blood work beforehand.
Yeah.
Yes, it mounts up. And especially now that she's an old girl, we're like, okay, senior panel, urinalysis, all the things. So
yeah, we've got a 14-year-old and a 12-and-a-half-year-old. So we feel you.
They're getting up there.
Yeah, the 14-year-old just started chiropractic care because he's losing his back, his feeling and starting to like poop on accident. And
yeah, that's no fun.
The joys of having an older dog.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. We're gonna have to write down questions next time. You can't have a speed round without like rapid fire questions.
The
speed part. Okay. What do you love most about having a dog? Like, what is your moment when you're like, I just love having a dog?
I think it's that like FaceTime when you're like, oh. Do you know what I mean?
Baby talk.
Oh,
your little face.
Not baby talk, but just like her little eye. Like Olivia has really soft little ears and soft little head.
Mm-hmm.
Is your dog on your screensaver on your phone or on your computer?
You know what? I think it's my human child.
No, that's okay.
Counts.
She does always make it onto the
counts.
Christmas card. She does always get onto the Christmas card.
I was going to say that pug fur is like velvet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those smush.
Pug's fur is
That's
special.
So funny.
It is.
But daughters are special too.
Well, you've inspired me to come up with better. Although I think those were good questions off the fly.
I have another question, and I guess I want to ask, like, what is the Austin Humane Society looking at into the future? Like, what are you guys dreaming about, planning? Like, whether it's on hold right now because of COVID or not, like, what's your vision for, the next coming years?
That is a great question. Certainly everyone feels like they're on hold because of COVID, especially in the nonprofit industry. It's just harder. Like folks that may have been able to fund us before are not necessarily able to. So everything has slowed down, but big picture, long term, I have been so inspired. I'm continually inspired by our team because they just move things forward. And so I don't have to chase. Sometimes the business just grows naturally and does great things because we've got such an amazing team, and they do things that are such high quality and so innovative. So we're excited to continue to grow.
You've grown a lot.
We've grown a lot, yes. We were serving 2,500 animals. Now it's, over 11,000.
Wow.
That'll probably change this year, but
it'll go back.
So we're really looking at growing and just getting bigger and taking it out further and further. So helping other communities and really keeping animals a big focus in Austin, keeping folks plugged in and helping communities that maybe aren't getting the help they need and getting the support they need to have pets in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Taking all those things off. So lots of growth for the Humane Society for sure. We've definitely outgrown our little space.
I was going to say, after all these years, I can imagine you're busting at the seams.
Busting at the seams. We're officing off-site now and have been for some time because we had to turn offices into break rooms and nurseries and things like that. So it's amazing. We all wish that the pandemic was not here. It caught us at a time where we were really on an upswing of growth. And so we'll get back to it and get back on it and get through this and keep going.
We'll be stronger. And like, I think everybody's sort of been put to the fire and, you're like, what are you going to do? You're going to add butter and garlic and come out tasty, or are you going to burn up?
It's so true. It's so true. So we try to focus on all the silver linings and what we're learning and what we have like you were saying, Bart, you have this opportunity to change.
Yeah.
So take it, kind of reinvent things because we have this great opportunity to do it. So the team is all staying very positive while staying very safe and having safe operations. So we're safe for the community and just going to keep going.
Yay.
That's great. Yay. Well, for those for the people who are listening either now or in the future, what are some of the best ways that they can access the Austin Humane Society if they want to give, whether it's time or, money? Obviously money, but I meant time or talent.
Yes, definitely. There's so many different ways to plug in, so many different programs. So we have feral cat trappers. That might be your fancy. You can always look at our website for opportunities, austinhumanesociety.org, and also ways to give. And we try to keep people updated on what we need right now, what kind of support we need right now. Because we are a nonprofit, again, we depend on our supporters. A lot of our supporters are just so many people that are making $5 and $10 gifts. And it adds up to so much that it allows us to operate. We have such a huge pool of folks that are giving in that range.
Wow.
And so we really hope that this fall and as things continue, for those folks who can give, we hope that they will consider stepping up even more, because we know that a lot of people are hit hard and they're not going to be able to support right now. So definitely need donations. If you've got a special talent, email me. Well, people share ideas with me all the time. If you need an animal or another animal, definitely check us out and let us know. We'd love to complete your family.
That's super cool. They're awesome. So lucky to have you.
They really are. I mean, they're lucky to have you, and Austin is lucky to have the Austin Humane Society. You guys are just doing such great work, and you have been for so many years. We're thrilled to say we know you.
Thank you, my friends. Likewise.
Well, I hope all good things for you guys, and we will put all the ways to give to the Austin Humane Society in the show notes. So thank you so much for joining us today for the Dog Ranch TV podcast. We're thrilled to have you. And if you have any updates in the future, please let us know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for watching or listening.
Yeah, you guys take care.